Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Pierce the Canvas podcast. We are here on a Sunday night, October 25th, 2020. A big show tonight, not what we usually cover, which is AEW. Unfortunately, this week I wasn't able to make AEW, so I thought I would do something to compensate for that. So I thought, hey, why not do some WWE main roster coverage? I was fairly excited for the show tonight. Because I knew about the programs that led up to the show tonight, the matches that are happening. You know, like Bayley and Sasha Banks, that's been a story for so many months. You know, they've been best friends for years and years. They had their classic match at TakeOver, so we're, way back. So we're getting another big Sasha Banks and Bayley match. So I thought, yeah, it would be worth covering again, especially because I couldn't do AEW. So here we are. And, of course, the theme for the show is Hell in a Cell. We have 3 Hell in a Cell matches. We have Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. We have Bayley versus Sasha Banks, and Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. And just to cover a little bit of the pre-show real quick here, we had Drew Gulak versus R-Truth. That was for the 24/7 championship. R-Truth won that via roll-up, so I think he won back the 24/7 championship. And yeah, honestly, the actual main card was pretty good for the most part. Jeff Hardy versus Elias wasn't needed. I didn't need that at all. Everything else pretty much I didn't care about, except there was one big moment on the undercard, which we'll get to. The matches were really, really long on this show. That's one thing that stood out to me. At least the main card matches, the 3 Hell in a Cell matches, were quite lengthy. Another thing that surprised me, and we'll get right into it, is that the show opened with Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso for the WWE Championship. However, after the match, I kind of realized why this opened, so we'll get to that. So this is a special one because it is the first I Quit match in Hell in a Cell, and obviously we know what's led up to this, the program between Roman Reigns and Jey Uso, Roman Reigns claiming to be the tribal chief of the family. And the stipulation for this match, not only is it for the WWE Universal Championship, it's also going to determine whether Jey and Jimmy Uso get to stay in the family with Roman Reigns. If Jey loses a match, they're both out of the family, so there's a lot on the line here. So Roman Reigns enters out, and he added a little addition to his attire. He has a golden glove on his right hand, kind of like Thanos. The match starts off like most Hell in a Cell matches, just, brawling off and going, throwing each other into the cell and stuff. At one point, Jey Uso gained momentum and fired up, and Roman went for a real early spear. And for a second there, I was expecting a cover. I was like, why isn't he pinning him? The match should be over now. But then I was like, oh yeah, it's an I Quit match. And it's actually the first I Quit match in WWE in 5 years. And, I cover AEW, the little elephant in the room is oh yeah, AEW has an I Quit match coming up in 3 weeks. So that was kind of funny. And also, they didn't really have the complete classic I Quit match feel, because they didn't have the referee with the microphone, pointing it at them. But I guess it makes sense, because there's no one in the arena. The ref is just simply asking, I guess he's mic'd up, he has, an attached lavalier mic, not a dynamic mic, so you could just hear him asking them if they quit, but it doesn't feel as dramatic as it used to. Uso got a drop kick, and then Roman punches Jey Uso and gets a second spear. The referee's asking Jey Uso if he quits. Roman's repeatedly saying that he's going to end Jey Uso if he doesn't quit. So he goes for a third spear and reverses, and then Jey connects an Uso splash. Roman does not quit. Second Uso splash. So they actually equalized. I was pretty surprised to see that Uso and Roman Reigns, like, because I thought Roman would just have the entire thing, but at this point it was like, damn, they equalized. Like, he got 2 spears in, Jey Uso got 2 of his Uso splashes in. So Roman's like still refusing to quit. He's like, I'm the head of the table, I ain't quitting. So Jey Uso goes outside and pulls out a strap and whips Reigns with the strap, and Paul Heyman's outside of the cell begging him to stop. And it's like a really long, like, big, thick strap. So Roman Reigns connects in a third spear after a few whips, but Jey refuses to quit. Roman Reigns returns the receipt with the whip, so he starts whipping the hell out of Jey. He refuses to quit, but he looks like he's dying. He looks like he's definitely hurt here. Reigns ties Jey's wrist with the whip and continues whipping him, so Jey can't even go anywhere now. The whip is actually attached to his arm, or the strap, I should say, or whatever the hell it is. So continues beating him up with the whip. Reigns is pulling Uso by the whip. You know, Uso's trying to go out the ring to get like a weapon or something. He's not going anywhere though. Reigns just pulls him right back in. But as Roman is pulling Uso at one point, Uso uses the momentum to like elbow Reigns and like hits him hard, man. And then they start trading blows. Roman Reigns goes for a Superman punch, but Jey pulled him with the whip mid punch. That reminds me of the dog collar match a couple weeks ago. Remember when like Moxley pulled Lance Archer off of the apron and landed whatever move it was. But yeah, it was kind of similar here. Reigns was going for the Superman punch. Jey pulls the strap while he's in midair, and he just kind of falls in midair, or mid punch. Jey wraps the whip around his neck and starts choking him out. Reigns eventually wakes up. Jey locks it back in, but Reigns refuses to quit. Jey takes like a year to pick up a chair, so Reigns gets up for a Superman punch and locks in the guillotine, but Jey still refuses to quit. Reigns says that he's going to have to take it to the next level, you know, just waiting for Jey Uso to quit. So Reigns drags Uso to the apron and lands a drive-by, like his running dropkick move that he does outside of the ring when the opponent's hanging on the apron. So Reigns decides to go for another drive-by, except this time he takes stairs and he leans it in the corner on Uso's head. So Uso's head's hanging off the apron in the corner, and he just leaves the stairs there, and he drives by. He kicks the stairs into Uso's head. That was a pretty rough spot. Jey still refuses to quit. The ref is telling Roman Reigns, you know, I'm gonna have to call the match here, man. This ref has some balls after last year, the no contest that happened in the main event. So pretty much the same thing as what was about to happen. Reigns is like, you ain't stopping this match, and he throws the ref out of the ring. And a bunch of officials get in the cell. They just unlock the cell and get in the ring, like Adam Pearce and all his bozos and all those other stupid people. There's like 10 of them. Reigns like closes the door, like traps everybody in there. He throws some stairs into the ring. To say it exactly as it happened, he threw the stairs and then it bounced off the rope back onto the ground, and he was like, oh, and then he tried again. And he finally got the stairs into the ring. And the officials retreat. Now it looks like a lumberjack match. There's just like a whole bunch of WWE officials surrounding the ring. Roman puts the back of the stairs above Uso's head, tells Uso he has to quit. Jey's gotten no offense at this point for like about 15 minutes. Reigns is about to crush Jey. He's just like, he has the stairs, he's about to crush him with the stairs. But Uso luckily escapes from that position, escapes being crushed by the stairs. Actually, sorry, no, he didn't escape. Jimmy Uso ran in. Jimmy Uso ran in to protect his brother. And right at this point, I knew where the rest of the match was going. So basically like Jimmy and Roman Reigns are Jimmy's talking to Roman Reigns saying, "Listen, man, you don't have to do this. You guys are cousins. Like, we don't need to have this match or whatever." Roman's like, "Yeah, I don't even know who I am anymore, man." And he's like, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, man." He starts like crying like a lot, like bawling. Roman Reigns. So Jimmy puts out his hand to Roman. Roman shakes his hand before locking him into a guillotine rather, guillotine. I listen to Death Grips. Guillotine. Jay wakes up and says that he quits. Because basically Jay was knocked out while all this stuff was happening, so he wakes up and he said he quits to save his brother. And so now Jimmy and Jay are out of the family, and still Universal Champion is Roman Reigns. So Roman's father, Afa, and his uncle Sika await him at the stage and give him a hug. They give him like one of those ceremonial, like neck wrap thingies, not necklace, but you know what? I don't know. You probably know what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's official. Jimmy and Jay are out of the family, and if I could say anything, I really do think that this is gonna be a Jimmy and Jay rivalry. I think that's what's gonna happen here. We're gonna see a program between those two. Because this is the second time that Jay's screwed him out of his match with Roman. Second time. Last time he threw in the towel. This time he comes in and forces Jay to quit to get him out of the hold. You know, he's, at least in storyline, he's still injured. Maybe not even just in storyline, because they mentioned that he recently had surgery. So Jimmy was locked into that guillotine hold. So Jay had to quit, man. Like, he couldn't let the guy stay in there. He's still injured, right? But yeah, like I said, I do think that this will explode into a rivalry between the two. And yeah, I don't know what's next or how this is going to end up with Roman. I don't know if perhaps they're going to have another match, what will happen, but I'm looking forward to it. It's one of the few things that will keep me checking out the main roster stuff for WWE. So next we go into the undercard and we have Elias versus Jeff Hardy. So Elias, as always, cuts his pre-match promo saying that, you know, Jeff Hardy tried ending his career by hitting him with the car, and he promotes his new record, Universal Truth. And he plays us a song, you know, just the usual crap where he's dissing his opponent and dissing the audience. The funny part was he made a dig at Jeff Hardy's DUI history. That was one part that made me laugh, but that's about it. So this is the first time this match happened, the first time Jeff Hardy and Elias stepped toe-to-toe in the ring. Elias dodges an outside dive from Hardy, and Hardy just flies into a barricade, and that keeps him out for a 9.5 count. He finally gets back in the ring. Elias gets an electric chair into a power bomb for a near fall. Jeff Hardy also gets a near fall after a whisper in the wind, connects his twist of fate. Elias escapes a potential swanton. Elias attempts to take out Jeff Hardy with the guitar, but Jeff Hardy gets the upper hand, takes the guitar from Elias, and wails him in the back with that guitar. And that's that match. That ended in a disqualification. So there was that. I guess it's not the end of Jeff Hardy versus Elias, so we're going to see a lot more of that. Exciting. So we get a Law and Otis segment, continuing from what was happening over the past few weeks. So we have Judge JBL, Miz and Morrison are suing Otis. I think they mentioned like emotional distress, like unsafe work environment. So I don't really know like what gives them a right to make this case. Like I to be honest, I haven't been following this program too much, but I'm not exactly sure why Miz and Morrison are like allowed to sue. Like, what did Otis do? You know, is Otis the heel here? No. But Otis makes the case that he deserves to cash in his Money in the Bank since he won the match. So I guess this lawsuit basically, if Miz and Morrison win the lawsuit, then Miz gets a match with Otis. And if Miz wins that match, he gets the Money in the Bank. I'm not sure what Otis gets if he wins this lawsuit. But yeah, like I said, Otis made his case that he deserves to cash in his Money in the Bank contract because he won it fair and square. So there's a bunch of random WWE characters making cameos. We see Rey Mysterio. He's on Otis's side. Asuka's there just yelling gibberish. Well, okay, I don't want to say gibberish. It's Japanese. I was saying she's yelling gibberish in Japanese, but no, she's speaking Japanese. But I just don't understand it, so I'm ignorant. But yeah, she's just yelling stuff. And then Teddy Long is there. He's like, "Oh, holla holla," and we got like, uh, is his name Ron Simmons? I think so. The damn guy. He's there. John Morrison's making the case that he's emotionally scarred. I don't know why. Like, is there any reason why they're emotionally scarred? Like, what did Otis do? I don't think he did anything, to be honest. I think this is just bullshit the WWE is doing. Tucker is making the case that he's Otis's best friend and that he threatened to beat up the Miz. Miz and Morrison, for whatever reason, JBL decides Miz and Morrison win the suit, and Otis has to face the Miz for the Money in the Bank briefcase. So that match happens, and one thing I noticed is I think Otis has a new theme song, which by the end of this match, you'll probably understand why. Oh, also, one thing I just want to say, I forgot to say real quick. So, the Hell in a Cell match earlier, Roman versus Jay. Remember how he said, like, oh, it's the first match? I was surprised, but then I realized why it was the first match. It was the first match because it ended basically in a no contest kind of way. It wasn't a no contest. Roman Reigns did win. Jay did say I quit. But it ended with a whole bunch of officials in the ring. It really felt like the end of Hell in a Cell last year. So I'm really glad they didn't end the show with that because that would have been such a bummer, man. But yeah, I just forgot to mention that, so I thought I'd just jump back to that. And then at the end of this match, there's going to be something I have to mention. So the match starts and Otis is just throwing around Miz. Morrison distracts Otis. Miz lands a DDT for a near fall. Miz chokes out Otis and like kicks his head off. I think Otis escaped the chokehold and was going for a move, but Miz reversed with a kick, and yeah, this guy kicked him hard. John Morrison was about to hit Otis with the Money in the Bank briefcase. It kind of looked like he actually hit him though. Otis was supposed to dodge, but it looked like he actually kind of hit Otis. But nothing happened. The ref just simply kicked out John Morrison. He didn't rule a disqualification. Miz gets distracted as a result of John Morrison being thrown out, and Otis rolls him up for a near fall. Lands a discus clothesline for a near fall. Miz gets dragged to the middle of the ring, and Tucker clocks Otis in the head with the briefcase. And poor Otis took 2 big shots to the head, that kick earlier, and Tucker laid him in with this briefcase too. They showed the replay and it looked pretty rough. But there you have it, Tucker turned heel, so heavy machinery's no more. Miz covers Otis for the win, and so Miz is now Mr. Money in the Bank. So Tucker not only cost him the match, he cost him his Money in the Bank briefcase. So he potentially ruined Otis's career. And yeah, the little thing I wanted to mention is that I think Otis frankly got his new theme song a day too late, because I realized, oh, okay, he has a new theme song because he's no longer in Heavy Machinery. So that's the only little thing I wanted to mention. But yeah, again, why didn't they just give him the new theme song next week? He should have just had the same one, whatever. But yeah, it's nitpick. So next, we see the post-match interview. Kayla's asking Miz if it was worth ruining Otis's life for the Money in the Bank briefcase. Miz and Morrison both affirm, and they put the WWE champions on notice. Tucker comes up, and Kayla asks, why did you do this? Why did you turn on Otis? And he says, because, I've been carrying the load this whole time. I've done everything for Otis. I've done everything for this team. He can't do anything without me. He can't do anything without Tucker. He got him Mandy. He got him to where he is now, having had the Money in the Bank briefcase. Otis couldn't have done it without him. And then Otis comes and they start brawling and they just brawl off. And then, next up came probably my favorite, probably from a wrestling standpoint, man, this might be my favorite Hell in a Cell match. It's Sasha Banks versus Bayley. So this is Sasha Banks' third Hell in a Cell match. She had, 2 of the other best, as far as wrestling goes, 2 of the other best Hell in a Cell matches back with Charlotte Flair, and then after with Becky Lynch. So Sasha Banks is notorious for having great Hell in a Cell matches, and this is another one of those. And this match was super long. It was probably at least 30 minutes long, and it kept me entertained throughout. So get ready, it's going to be a long review for this. So yeah, one big thing here is that Bailey's been champion for combined over 500 days. You know, she lost it like shortly after her first reign, and she got it back, and she's had it for over a year now. So including the previous reign where she lost it to Charlotte for like a week, it's about 500 days total that she's had that championship. And so the recap, we're seeing, you know, when Bailey turned heel on Sasha Banks, Sasha returned and attacked Bailey and had her sign the contract for the match when she had like her head locked into a chair. I didn't really see much of that stuff because, again, I don't really watch Raw and SmackDown. So Bailey's entering and she has a chair in hand. As the cell lowers, Sasha Banks ain't having that chair. She like it was actually kind of cool that they pulled it off. Like Bailey gets into the ring with the chair. Banks is waiting for her, but Banks just kicks the chair out of her hand. And while the cell is going down, so the cell is almost all the way down, she kicks the chair out of her hand. It flies through the ropes and out of the cell, like right before it landed through. Like I was thinking, like, you know, Roman Reigns didn't have too much luck when he was trying to throw the stairs into the ring earlier. He couldn't even throw stairs into the ring. This was kind of impressive because, you know, like, she kicked the chair out of Bailey's hand for it to, first of all, have gone through the ropes, you know, and then actually go through the cell. It could have just banged off the ropes or something. Or it could have gone through the rope and banged on the bottom of the cell. But it just, like, went through the rope right under the cell, and then the cell landed. It was, like, perfect. Match starts off. Sasha Banks locks in her bank statement early. Bailey escapes by biting her hand, drives Sasha into the cell. Bailey pulls out a kendo stick, and she's like whipping, and Sasha Banks is just dodging every single shot. She throws the stick out of the cell. She like, you know, pokes it through one of the holes in the cell and throws it out, and it almost like lands right in Michael Cole's face. It was great. I really wish it did. I don't like Michael Cole. Big part of why I don't watch his stuff. So next up, Bailey gets another kendo stick and got a shot in until Sasha Banks lands a knee to the face. Sasha pulls out a table, sets it up outside, and she starts like, so basically she's setting up the table and Bailey grabs one side of the table. So Sasha just takes Bailey and she starts driving her like into the cell. It looked pretty painful, like for the ribs. And right after she did that maybe 3 times, she landed a huge Meteora into the cell and landed another one in the ring for a near fall. And there's a crazy sequence outside of Bailey and Sasha Banks trying to get the upper hand until Sasha Banks landed a Hurricanrana into the cell and kicked her into the steps. Bailey sets up 2 sticks between the stairs and the cage. So the stairs are right here, or I guess for your perspective, right here. The cage is right here, and so the stick is like right in between. Sasha reverses a suplex attempt. She tried suplexing her onto the wedged stick. Bailey pulls Banks into the stairs. So again, Bailey was going for a suplex attempt onto the stick. Sasha reversed it, so basically Bailey just decided to shove her into the stairs, and she hit hard. Like, it was a hard bang, dude. I thought something for a second was wrong, but I always keep in mind, like, how talented Sasha Banks is, and, like, she rarely gets hurt. I believe. I don't think she's gotten injured too much in the last couple years. So yeah, like, I kind of knew it was a sell, but she sold it, man. That was a really loud bang. kind of concerning. So Bailey catapults Banks into the sticks. Sasha powerbombs Bailey into the cell after a sunset flip. Near fall after that. Bailey reverses Sasha, setting up a chair. She lands Sasha Banks face first into the chair. Bailey sets another chair in the corner. Bailey sunset powerbombs Banks into the cornered chair for a near fall, lands an elbow drop for another near fall. Banks gets a backstabber into a bank statement. Bailey escapes. Bailey lifts up the ring apron and she like starts bashing Sasha Banks' face into the steel under the apron, and starts wailing her with a kendo stick. That was pretty. That was pretty actually like unique. I've never really seen that. Like Bailey actually lifted up the apron sheet, exposing like all the underneath the ring, but there's all this reinforced steel, and again she's just banging Sasha Banks' face into it. And again, to add insult to injury, starts wailing her with a kendo stick. Afterwards, Bailey gets duct tape attaching like kendo sticks between the ring and the cell, and that didn't look very effective. So she had two sticks. She like overthought this. She had two sticks that were like she tried duct taping the tips of the sticks together, and then she tried duct taping one side of the two sticks to the ring, the other side of the two sticks to the cell, and it just like failed, and it didn't look dangerous at all. It just didn't look very effective. And even like after Bailey set it up, she like tripped over it a little bit. I was like, this isn't working out for you. Sasha's on the other side of the ring with a fire extinguisher, so Bailey's going over to grab Sasha but gets blown in the face with the fire extinguisher. Bailey managed to get her original chair back into the cell somehow, the original one that she walked in with. There's like spray paint all over that chair. Banks takes it and throws it away again. Poor Bailey, she just wants to use her chair. Starts beating up Bailey, lands another Meteora, starts wailing her with a kendo stick, telling her that she's a champion and telling Bailey she's not a role model. Banks goes for a frog splash. Bailey protects herself with the chair. It was kind of cool, like, you know, usually when there's like a dive and somebody's protecting themselves with like a chair, the person diving will like sell the heck out of the chair being there. But this looked like it was equally as bad for both of them. Like Bailey really sold the frog splash and Sasha really sold the chair. So I don't know, it was just something that stood out to me. Bailey at one point just starts smashing like Sasha's face first into, I think it was into the chair, and she goes out and gets a ladder. The ladder is basically set down on two chairs that are stood up. She drives Sasha Banks onto the ladder. Sasha Banks is now lying on top of the ladder. Bailey gets spray paint. So I guess she spray painted the chair before the match. Now she's spray painting Sasha's like torso, putting an X on it for X marks the spot, I suppose. Bailey attempts to drive a chair from the middle rope onto Sasha, who's on the ladder, but Sasha luckily moved out of the way, so she got an X on her torso for no reason. Banks Bailey to bellies Bailey onto the ladder. Bailey lands her own Bailey to belly for a near fall. Sasha Banks takes a chair and she locks in the bank statement with Bailey's head locked in the chair. That was really cool. And not only that, but she's like, so Bailey's head is locked into the chair, and you know how that could like easily choke you out. So while she's got her locked in with her head through the chair, she's kicking the chair, so it like keeps banging on her throat basically, and that forced her to tap. And there you have it, man. New SmackDown Women's Champion is Sasha Banks. I believe this is her first SmackDown Women's Championship, so congratulations to her, man. I've really missed seeing Sasha Banks as champion. She's a babyface champion again, so we'll see how it goes. I guess the book is closed on Bailey or Sasha Banks. Probably not. I'm sure that they're probably gonna do a rematch, because I think this is their first match. And again, it's been such like a long program. I don't think they're just gonna end it here. We'll see. Maybe they will. Next up, we see the Hurt Business. So apparently I missed this, but in the pre-show, Retribution issued a challenge to the Hurt Business. So basically, I think Retribution offered, we'll have one of our guys fight one of your guys. So the Hurt Business decides to get Lashley. And Hurt Business gets to also choose who from Retribution Lashley faces. So MVP chose Lashley to face Slapjack. And he's also having Lashley put his title on the line. I guess he's very confident. Not only that, he also actually said nobody's going to be ringside. He's like, nobody's going to be there. So these guys, I think they're like officially baby faces pretty much. So yeah, the match starts off. After a quick exchange, Lashley is dominating. That starts with a big suplex. Slapjack did manage to get in some offense, landed a cannonball on Lashley in the corner for a near fall, lands another DDT for another near fall. Lashley throws Slapjack off the top rope and lands a bunch of suplexes and lands his like big chokeslam spine buster thing, and then locks in the Hurt Lock for the win. So Retribution immediately go after Lashley. Mustafa Ali orders a double chokeslam, like two of the guys from Retribution to chokeslam Lashley, but Lashley reverses and Retribution escapes. As exciting as that sounds, it's pretty much as exciting as it was. First thing I said after that was, what a freaking waste of my time. Match was stupid. Well, here we go. We have the main event here, Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre, and this is the third and final Hell in a Cell match for the night. This is for the WWE Championship. And this is McIntyre's first Hell in a Cell match. So this is a third match here. Obviously last time for the ambulance match, Drew McIntyre, even though he's a babyface, he had a ton of interference. Like, all the legends came in and did shit to Orton. So Orton issued one final match, being in Hell in a Cell. You know, nobody's gonna interfere this time. So yeah, so McIntyre comes out, does his entrance, and mid-entrance, we see a cameraman approaching Drew McIntyre. The cameraman reveals himself to be Randy Orton. But this doesn't trick Drew. He did not fall for it. He got the first hit in, even though Orton like snuck up on him. McIntyre just turned around, starts hitting him, and they brawl outside of the cell until they finally get back in. And they start driving each other into the cell and pushing each other's like heads into the cell. You know how it is in these matches. McIntyre gets a chair, starts beating on Orton. McIntyre gets stairs, bashes Orton in the face with the stairs. At one point, he like whips the stairs across the cell to whip it at Orton, and he moved like last second. That was real close. McIntyre attempts a Claymore. Orton takes out his leg with the chair, pressing on McIntyre's face with it after he's been taken down. Orton stomps McIntyre's hand on the steps, pushes his face into the cell. Orton stands, like, he basically takes the lower part of the steps. You know, they usually use the upper part of the steps. This time he takes the lower part and he like stands it up. Drew gets the upper hand and attacks Orton on the cell, pushes him into the cell, pushes him into the other set of stairs. Orton thumbs to the eye and takes the upper hand and gets a table and leans it on the cell. Actually, yeah, so after he thumbed to the eye, he did throw McIntyre into the standing stairs, and then he took the table and leaned it on the cell. McIntyre no-sells Orton's backbreaker signature with a one-count kickout. Orton and McIntyre brawling ringside. McIntyre belly-to-belly to Orton through the table that was leaning on the cell. Orton gets a low blow on McIntyre, draping DDT, and another kickout at one. Randy pulls out bolt cutters again, like he did on Raw the other week, and he cuts the cell door open. They brawl outside. Orton throws McIntyre into the cell, and so McIntyre is taken down, and while he's down, Orton's just like looking up to the top of the cell as they do. Teases climbing to the top, and he proceeds to do so. Climbs to the very top of Hell in a Cell, calls up McIntyre. By this point, McIntyre got back up. He's staring at Orton. He's like, holy crap, this guy got all the way up there. So McIntyre climbs up and makes his way up to the cell. To the top of the cell, Orton takes a pipe. I don't know where the heck that came from, but there's a pipe at the top of the cell. He swings at McIntyre. McIntyre takes down Orton, like dodges the pipe and takes him down. And after he took him down for whatever reason, he started taunting and stuff, so he's distracted and Orton takes him out with the pipe. And then for whatever reason, when he takes him out of the pipe, Orton just decides, okay, I'm gonna get down from this fucking thing. So he starts climbing down the cell, which was very underwhelming. I was like, damn it, I want somebody to fall off the top of that thing. That's the kind of wrestling fan I am. So McIntyre proceeds with Randy Orton to start climbing down. So they get to the, like, I think there's like two 10-foot segments on the cell, so they're basically 10 feet up the cell at this point, punching each other and stuff. Um, and then Orton finally won that brawl, and Drew McIntyre fell through the announce table from like 10, 12 feet up, which is like crazy. It sucks for that guy. Like, not to take anything away from these two other performers, but I remember when it happened to Seth Rollins and John Moxley back whenever that happened in Hell in a Cell. They basically did the same spot where they both fell through the table, but they're both like 20 pounds compared to this guy. Like, McIntyre is a huge dude, so this must have really, really sucked. They even piped in holy shit chants. Like, they actually piped in holy shit chants. They're usually trying to fade those out when they happen, but they put them in deliberately this time. McIntyre's looking in pretty bad shape. He's like bleeding out of his mouth. He's really overselling it, like coughing his lungs out and stuff. Can barely even get up. They finally make it back to the ring. Orton attempts an RKO. Drew just out of nowhere gets like a spurt of energy, dodges the RKO, connects a Claymore, but couldn't make a cover. Randy Orton rolled out of the ring. McIntyre sets up for another Claymore. Orton dodges, lands an RKO for the win. And so, that being said, we have a new WWE champion in Randy Orton. That makes him a 14-time WWE champion. So, congratulations to Randy Orton. Unfortunately, I really did like Drew McIntyre's reign as champion. Sucks it had to end. It lasted about the same amount of time, I think, as like Kofi Kingston's did, about 6 months or so. The difference between those two is that I'm quite confident this isn't Drew McIntyre's last WWE Championship reign. Don't know if I could say the same about Kofi Kingston. We'll see, you never know. But yeah, so congratulations to Randy Orton. He is the new WWE Champion. After 3 matches, he finally won. Some could argue maybe he didn't deserve to have 3 shots in a row, but he did. And so, yeah, it kind of sucks that the younger guy is no longer champion. And it looks like we have 2 heel WWE champions now with Roman Reigns and Randy Orton. So yeah, that was Hell in a Cell 2020. Definitely didn't end as disgustingly as last year's did, or as embarrassingly as it did. It was overall a pretty good show. The undercard was generally boring. The main event matches, though, were pretty great. I wasn't a big fan of the finish of Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns, but they're not going to give Uso the title, so what are you going to do? But we'll see where it goes with that program, and we will resume our normal scheduling this Wednesday. We'll be back for AEW Dynamite. That will be 2 weeks before their next pay-per-view, I believe. That will be the October 28th show, yes, and so after that we only have November 4th, and then of course that following Saturday will be the AEW Full Gear show. So enough of this WWE stuff. We're not going to be doing this again unless I just feel like it. But anyway, as always, thank you very much for tuning in to Pierce the Canvas podcast. As always, it's Pierce signing out. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.